Yes, hello everyone. Now, this is the final class under use of English, and this time it is going to be questions and answers. All right. Now, let's quickly look at some crucial questions here and the correct answers to them. Now, let's look at number one here. Number one says, please stay dash the line. The correct answer to this is stay in the line. Okay, that's the correct use of preposition. You don't stay on the line. Even queue, you don't stay on the queue, but you stay in the queue. All right, so that's the correct use of the preposition. Even tree, it is expected that you stay in the tree. When you climb the tree, you stay in it. You don't stay on the tree, because when you stay on the tree, it means you are staying on top of the leaf. All right, these are the correct use of prepositions, and even in the long run, it's the correct one, not on the long run. All right, and when you shoot someone, it is expected that you shoot that person in that person's body. Shoot somebody in the back. You stab somebody in the back, not on. So that's that. Now let's look at this one under subjunctive mood, mood that expresses possibilities and non-factual statements. I would rather I dash tomorrow. Now anytime you use would rather plus a subject plus a performer coming up, all right, the next tense should be past. I would rather I, it is this I that will condition the use of past tense. I would rather I went tomorrow. But if there is no subject after I would rather, you use present tense. Then if there is no I here, you are going to use present tense. This means you are going to have I would rather go tomorrow. But because of the presence of subject here, you are permitted to use past tense. I would rather I went tomorrow, but I would rather go tomorrow. So take note of that. Now another use of subjunctive would boil down to the use of it is high time, it is about time, it is time. So anytime you use it is high time, it is about time, it is time, the next tense is always past. It is high time I left the class. It is time I swept the classroom. It is about time I went home. So these are the correct use of what? English. Okay, so let's look at the answer to this. It is high time I dashed the class. So the answer is left the class. Today you are still in the class, but it indicates that you will soon leave. So the next one says, that's enough, the man left. Many people think funny enough is correct, but it's not a correct grammar. Nothing like funny enough in English. It is actually funnily enough. Okay, funnily enough. There are some words that do not exist in English. Okay, words like indigent, for example, is not correct. Nothing like indigent. Okay, it is a native of Benin or a native of Lagos or citizen of Lagos, not indigent. Now, let's also look at the next one. Please, everyone should be dashed. It is on the alert. You can't be at alert. No English like at alert. You are always on the alert. Okay, so these are the correct use of the grammar. And then that also reminds me of this word, advice and advice. The one that carries SE and the one that carries CE. The advice that carries SE is a verb, while the one that carries CE is a noun. Okay, so you can have is advising him now, which is ADVISING. Okay, so you cannot have advising as ADVICEING. That's wrong. Nothing like that. Okay, you can also have the advising ADVISET, but no word as ADVICED. That's not correct in English. You can also have the advices in ADVISES, but no word like ADVICES. It is not correct. So anytime you use advice as a verb, it carries SE, ends in SE, and it can go with the following features: ING, ES, or ED to make it past tense. That's the last. Okay. Now let's look at the next one here, which is Peter Obi is the dash bearer of Labour Party. When you are the candidate of a political party, it is said that you are the standard bearer of that party, not flag bearer. Okay, flag bearer simply means you are carrying flag on a particular occasion to represent whatever group you belong. Okay, it doesn't mean you are a candidate of a party, but if you are the candidate of a political party, you are the standard bearer of that party. Then the snake crept dash the stone. Now, what is preposition? It shows the relationship between one thing and another. For example, when I say the dog is on the table, okay, the relationship between the dog and the table is on. The dog is under the table. The relationship between the dog and the table is under. So, shared the oranges between the boy and the girl. So the relationship between the boy and the girl is the between them. Okay, so all these words are just said are what prepositions. In a similar way, we have that there. The snake crept past the stone. The answer to that question is C. Because the relationship between the snake and the stone is walk past. The boy walked past my house yesterday, not walk past. Why past? P-A-S-S-E-D is a verb. P-A-S-T is just a preposition. Okay, yes. Now let's look at the next one. John is and dash of Univent. Now, these four words are somewhat confusing. When we say alumna, that word there, it simply means a singular female graduate of an institution. For example, Jennifer is an alumna of Univent. Jennifer is an alumna of Harvard University. That means singular female graduate. But the plural form of female graduate is called alumni, which is the option C there. Jennifer and all her female friends are alumni of Harvard University. You see the way it is. While alumna means singular female graduate, the plural is alumni for plural. Then you talk about alumnus. Alumnus simply means singular male graduate of an institution. Mr. Johnson is an alumnus of Harvard University. Mr. Johnson is an alumnus of Harvard University. That's singular male graduate, not female now. Then the plural male graduate of an institution is alumni. Mr. Johnson and all his male friends are alumni of Harvard University. Don't forget, the word alumni can also be a general term for entire graduates of an institution, whether you are male or female. For example, I am a member of Univent Alumni Association. That alumni, they features both male and female. So that's that. Now let's look at this now. The book is dash, her, none. Now, we cannot have apostrophe when we are showing what they call possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns are pronouns that are used to show belongings or possessions. Yeah, they include the word have. All right. They don't take apostrophe like H-E-R-S. The book is hers. It doesn't take apostrophe. The book is yours. Y-O-U-R-S. Don't put apostrophe. That's why in your letter writing you are advised to write yours sincerely. In that yours, don't put apostrophe either before the S or after the S, because if you change it to your it is very wrong. If you say that book is hers and you put apostrophe, you change it automatically to the book is her is. But without apostrophe, the book is hers. Now, also, we have other possessive pronouns like it. The dog that's eating it goes. In that it, since it's showing possession, you don't put apostrophe before the S or even after the S. Because if you put apostrophe, if you change it to another grammar, it will mean that the dog that's eating it is gone. Okay? But without apostrophe, it is it's gone. Alright, so the correct answer to this one is option C. Okay? That book is theirs. That's another word there. That theirs there does not carry apostrophe, either before or after the S. Okay? Yes. All that glitters is not gold. You want all, but whenever you use all to mean everything, it is singular word that is required. All that glitters is not good. What does that mean? Everything that shines is not good. Alright? Because you can't say everything that shines are not good. No. Everything that shines is not good. Okay? All that glitters is not. When all refers to things, normally singular verb is required. All that glitters is not good. But when all refers to people, plural verb is required. Like all are already seated in the parliament. That all refers to human. So as the plural verb is needed there. So the next one says the pronunciation of that EWE. That word is pronounced as you. It has the same pronunciation and transcription as YOU. But EWE, you, simply means female sheep. Okay? When you are saying you, EWE, it means a female sheep. While YOU simply means second person personal pronouns. But it has the same pronunciation and the same transcription. Now, the other options, like the option C there, is another word that confuses one in terms of pronunciation. Now, that word is not gal or goal. It is called jail. That's another way to spell jail, J-A-I-L. You don't want to spell jail like J-A-I-L. It's another way to spell it, jail. You want to put somebody in jail, you can spell it that way, and it's perfectly correct. Okay, and then the last word there cannot not also be correct within the context in which we use it there, because that word there is not quick, it is key. That word Q-U-A-Y has the same pronunciation as K-E-Y. So when you see that word Q-U-A-Y, it is key, K-E, but they have different meanings. Just like you have motor park. The park for sheep is called key. Okay, Q-U-A-Y. So that's that for this. And a very quick one, don't forget that anytime you are writing an essay, like select to write an essay, Yes, you must always give an introduction. At the end of your introduction, there is what they call the thesis statement. The statement that will reveal all that you have to see in the body of the essay. It is from the thesis statement you begin to bring out the topics you have to discuss in each of the paragraphs. So, the topics you are discussing in each paragraph is taken from the thesis statement, which is the last statement in the paragraph. So that topic you are treating at the beginning of each paragraph is called the topic sentence. So each topic is taken from the thesis statement. When you are done with one topic, you bring another topic to another paragraph from the thesis, you drop another topic. When you are exhausted with the topic, you now conclude your essay. It's very crucial so that you begin to see how picturesque or how pictorial your essay is, and then your examiner will be able to assess your point and then give you or allot the mark that is necessary whatever you have written. So that's that. And then anytime you are writing a letter that requires, that is called formal letter, it requires two addresses. One for the person writing, that's you, and the second one for the person you are addressing the letter to. Shortly after that, you put your dear sir. Then in the middle, you write the type of letter, whether it's letter of complaint or letter of apology, underline. Then you go direct. No, nothing like familiarity when you are writing a formal letter. Nothing like how are you, sir? How is your wife? And nothing like that. You're not going to go straight to the point. After dear sir, write letter of apology. I write to apologize based on what happened last week as the senior prefect, and I hope you would accept the apology. There's nothing like familiarity should be drawn in at all. Okay. After writing, you can then conclude by saying, I hope my request will be accepted just faithfully, not just sincerely. So many persons write, sir, how is your wife? No, you don't write like that because you don't even know the person. You are writing to the subject and not the person. It's only when you are writing to your friend, somebody familiar to you, that say, how are you doing and all that. Even as you are doing that, it is expected that you write, you bring the salutations like, how are you, your health, at the end of the paragraph, okay, of the concluding paragraph. When you start writing your letter, there are two types of informal letter that carries only one address. We can have what we call the fresh letter, and we can have what we call the reply. When a letter is fresh, you can start by saying, I write to inform you about my new school. It's a wonderful school. It is a unique school because of the presence of a good library, laboratory, and good teachers. You see, that last statement is what they call teaching. That's what you begin to explain in the body of the word, essay or letter. You get the point now. So that's how it is. Now, if it is a reply, you start this way. I saw the letter you wrote to me last week. It was quite interesting. And I begin to imagine how you got to know all of those things you have forwarded to me. Anyway, I must give kudos to you for all efforts you have put in place to gather this information. Good stuff. And then you begin to write. At the end of an informal letter, it is expected that you write yours sincerely, not yours faithfully. Yes, but if it is formal letter, you write yours faithfully. But if it is informal, yours sincerely. I believe that with these few points, you'll be able to gather some, good things to carry to the exam hall that will aid you in answering some crucial questions. Thank you, and God bless.